Hey guys, this is lesson 2 from unit 1.3, and this lesson is on Christopher Columbus. So I'm sure you've heard of him, and we're going to talk about his story. Remember, as you watch the video, complete your guided notes, this section of your guided notes, as you watch it. Rewatch if you don't understand, or pause the video if you need to. That's one of the nice things of having these videos. The success criteria for today's lesson is I will be able to write about the reasons Columbus discovered America and what Europeans' view of the world was in 1492. So if we look here at this is a map. This is in 1491. Okay, so this map is from that time period. So if you look, what continents do you notice on here? And it's kind of hard to make some of them out, but you can definitely see Europe. Europe actually looks pretty accurate. You can see Africa, although Africa is not completely accurate, right? It is looks a little smaller than it is in real life. And of course you can see Asia over here. So this map tells us that what they thought the Earth was in 1490, 1491 was simply Europe, Asia, and Africa. That's what they knew about. Those are the continents that they were aware of. Now if you go on to this one, this map is in 1502. So we know that Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. So this is after that. This is about 10 years after Columbus sails and finds the Americas, which we're going to talk about how he did that later in the video. And so you can see you got Africa here, much better mapped out. You still got Europe, you still got Asia. And now if you look over to the west, you also have these islands. These would be the Caribbean islands. And then you even have this coast down here, which would be South America. You'll notice it's just mostly the coast. They don't have like the interior of South America mapped yet. They don't really know how big that continent is, but they have the coast mapped out, and that's in 1502. And then finally, we have, I don't think finally, I think there's more. But we have this right here. So this is in 1692. So this is 100 years, okay? Sorry, 200 years after Columbus. And so you'll notice what we're looking at here is North America. Look how much of North America they have mapped out in 1692. Not only do they have the coast very accurate, but they have much of the interior of North America mapped as well. Finally, this map is in the year 1700, and as you can see, at this point, they have most of the world mapped out. They have pretty much all, I would say most of North America into Canada mapped out. They're finally starting to have Australia mapped out. They have South America mapped out. So they're much closer to having a better understanding of what the world is at this time. Okay, Christopher Columbus. So Christopher Columbus is an Italian explorer. He's born in Italy. So one thing I want to make sure you understand is that they knew that the earth was round. Okay? They knew it was round. There's a lot of people, it's an elementary school thing, I think, but they teach that people thought that the earth was flat around Columbus's time and that people thought he was going to fall off the edge of the earth. That is not accurate, guys. That's not accurate. Educated people of the time, they knew that the earth was round. Okay, in fact, that's why he goes west. So he's trying to go on this expedition, but he needs money in order to do this. Portugal tells him no. In fact, a lot of people tell him no at first. King Ferdinand actually tells him no at first. but he is persistent, and eventually King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain, they tell him yes, and they agree to fund his expedition. So in 1492, the Pinta, the Nina, and the Santa Maria, they set off on this voyage. So Columbus goes west, and his main purpose is he's trying to find a quicker route to Asia. They're trying to get to Asia because of all the reasons we talked about in the last lesson, to get to those spices and the gold and whatever else is there, right? So he intends to land in Japan. However, as you're going to see on a map, he greatly underestimates the distance, and they don't know that another continent stands in the way. So he goes west, he lands in the Bahamas, off the coast of Florida, on what today is known as San Salvador. So Columbus's discovery leads to several more expeditions and eventually permanent settlement in America, and it changes really the course of history. So just to explain this on a map, so you see over here Spain, where Columbus leaves, and he sails west, and his goal is to get to Asia, to Japan, what we know as Japan. And so he sails west, and he runs into the islands off the coast of Florida here in the Bahamas. So on the next map, I'm going to show you where he thought he was going to land and basically what he thought the Earth was like at the time. Because not only did they know that these continents are here, but they also think that the Earth is much smaller than it actually was. So on this map, you can kind of tell, okay, right here, Chupango, that is where he basically thought Japan was. Okay, so really, he thought it was about halfway to where America was, and he thought that Asia would be over here, China would be over here where mainland North America is. So he really underestimates how big the Earth is. So in fact, he has to lie to his crew because they start getting over here and they're thinking, hey, we should be there by now. And they're not. And so he has to actually lie to his crew and tell them that they have gone less distance than they actually had. And then finally, they reach the Bahamas. But really, Columbus and his ships, they're on the verge of mutiny. They're about ready to either turn around or kill Columbus. So when they do reach the Bahamas off the coast of Florida, Columbus actually thinks that he has reached Asia, which they sometimes called the Indies. So he thinks that he's reached the Indies, and so the native people that he finds there, he calls Indians, because he thinks he's reached the Indies. And so that's where that name comes from, is Columbus thinking that he's reached the Indians, and he calls the native people Indians. And this map just shows some of the other voyages that Columbus goes on. He comes back a few different times, kind of explores around the Caribbean, goes down the coast of South America a little bit, and really until his dying day, Columbus still thinks that he had reached the Indies. And so that is the story of Columbus. Again, he's trying to find a quicker route to Asia, a quicker trade route to get those goods in Asia. And unknowingly, really it's an accident that he finds the Americas.